All right, perfect. UX is user experience. I'm a mixture of in the product and strategy with it, and it's so funny. Okay, I love it that you're like, is that a millennial or generation thing to figure out what UX is? For the longest time, I always told my family I made the internet pretty. It was the best way I could explain it. So within that, I'm always working with product, with startups, different things of making sure we build what's needed from the end user perspective. I'm so happy your dog made a noise in the background, so I feel a little more personal.
For the record, just let it go. It's not my dog.
Well, we gotta let it go. Okay. So within this, as you can tell, we are recording. We have a prototype. You're familiar with the platform, and what we're trying to do is just to see the functionality of it and the ease of use of it, and get your first impression. We will not share any of your data with a larger audience. We will not use your name to report any of our findings for this purpose, and it's really only internal for our learnings. And if we do anything with the data, it will all be anonymous and conglomerate together, okay? But this is really internal for our development team, for Matt, and for them to see what people say and how they feel. So the best thing that we start with is to go on the actual homepage. And I'm going to hit share screen. I'm going to switch over to the home page. I'm going to hit share. You just saw my script I covered. And here's the homepage itself. You guys haven't seen it in a while. General feedback on it. Any questions you have?
Is it moving slow on purpose?
It's just me.
Oh, okay. It looks nice.
Do you guys know what exactly this is about already? So.
Yeah. Wait, how do I? Finley, no more.
Okay.
Sorry.
When we say enterprise contract automation, what comes to your mind?
Can you say that one more time?
When we say enterprise contract automation, what comes to your mind? How would you explain layman's terms? Yeah.
What I would expect from that is form drafting documents,
okay.
Especially contracts.
Okay. That works for me. All right, so then the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to share a URL with you guys. And what I want you guys to do is go to that URL and just kind of record your screen, share your screen. I'm already recording.
Did you send it to my email?
Yep, it's in the chat right here.
Whoa. I did not know you could do that.
It's the goofy hour. So at this point, all the remarks can be silly, off the cuff, speak out loud. Feel free. So whenever you are at that screen, I want you to then do the same thing where you share your screen with us.
Okay. I got it.
Yeah.
I got it.
Perfect. And
I remember a thing or two.
Yeah.
Okay. Much improved from the last time. Good job, team.
Okay. How so?
I think the last time was just kind of base, right?
Yeah.
It had like base forms. It was kind of clunky. Well, clunky looking. This kind of has rounded edges, more defined categories and areas.
it looks clear.
It's not just listed. It's kind of like what's it called? It has like widgets almost.
Yeah, Rachel, they had tested the wireframe in the
Okay.
wireframe stage.
Got it. So then you guys are more than welcome to kind of move through this.
Oh,
click any
okay.
of the menu, and then in a couple minutes, whenever you're ready, I'm going to ask you to create a contract, however you see fit. It's a little tricky because your camera, you need to move down a little lower to the white space because it's in the top right corner.
This thing?
The window, move it down just a little. And feel free to kind of play around a little bit more.
So this is a lot nicer than the last one.
It's cleaner. It doesn't look much like an email. It looks like a contract.
Yeah, well, the last one I was like,
Like an email setting.
no, it was worse than an email setting. I might say some things. Please do not take offense.
Not at all.
The last time looked like 2005 tech, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
This kind of has a better flow to it. You could edit the document directly.
It looks like what you would provide your client.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is this merged with Microsoft Word at all?
That's a good question. If it merges, right now a lot of this is to be edited within the platform, so we're not making it so that it exports out as a doc or a PDF because we want a lot of the contract negotiations to happen within the document. What are your feelings about that?
Works for me. The only issue you're probably going to have, and this is probably just a circumstance of the clients I deal with, some of them are even less tech savvy than me.
Seriously?
Yeah.
That's one of my clients.
But I mean, if you're dealing with some savvy business people and people who are used to the business field, I don't imagine this would be difficult at all.
In the 90s.
Yeah, but looks good, doesn't it?
No, it looks like exactly what you'd give to your client. I think I would prefer that it goes with Word, but that's just me.
I'm Manuka. What is this?
Oh, looks like a comment thing.
Yeah.
Oh wait, hold up. Right click it. Read aloud.
It's anywhere though.
I know, but what does that do?
So I can't open this comment. I don't know if that's kind of on your guys' end or not.
That's something we need to look into. I'm not sure what answer to give you for that one. So,
Okay.
but thank you. Here's another thing I'm going to ask you to do.
Okay.
Go through it all, kind of go through the menu, and then try to go through, send or try to break it. See what you can do. See how far you can make this prototype work for the functionality that you would work through.
Okay.
So, you name it after your clients. But it's who can see it though.
Yeah.
I think you would type in emails, no?
We can- yeah.
Let's try again. Baby. There you go.
Did I get kicked out? What happened?
Who did get kicked out?
Hold on. I think I broke it.
Okay.
Sorry, he's not very techy.
No, it's okay.
Okay. Can you guys see this? Or do I need to share it again?
You gotta share again. Oh, you're still not sharing. We want to
Yeah.
see your screen.
What is it?
Perfect. Okay, now we're back. Thank you guys, by the way, for doing this. This is awesome.
Yeah, no worries. My rate's $400 an hour, so.
Okay, got it.
But you can add a contact. That's nice.
hmm
Hit add contact. I want to see what that does. Just put in like your email or something. Which client company? Okay. What exactly is that question?
What is this question?
I'm not sure how to answer. So we'll have to ask which client's company if it's a sub company of the company. So with AT&T, would it be the cellular division or the cable division? Is how I would think to answer that. But that's a weird way to ask that. Which client company is kind of.
So is it essentially asking for a subsidiary?
I think it might be after a subsidiary. Yeah. It's something we need to. Okay.
Which binder does this contract belong? Oh, then you have to select someone, I think.
What?
Hit the drop down for the who is signing this contract. Oh, it didn't say if that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
E-test. Non-disclosure agreement.
What is the start and end date for? Or this is for the task, right? To assign a task?
Yes.
Okay.
And feel free to ask all questions out loud. If I'm not sure, I can ask Amanda too, like on certain very specific things and have her kind of chime in for me. Okay.
Is this validity period of the offer of our version of the contract, or
So the start date and the end date of the contract, and then how long the. Yeah. Do you guys say validity period, or how would you kind of say that in legal terms?
I think I just, I don't know, because I don't deal with contracts. I'll tell you.
yeah, usually like offer deadline, validity period could work just as well, and it might be more technical lingo amongst people who draft contracts all the time. I usually review and kind of determine if contract's bad.
Okay.
The start and end date should be for like the task, right?
Mhm.
I think, or that's what I'm guessing these fields are for. The contract date is the deadline to have the contract completed by,
Or the signage.
or the signage, right? So like
Would
either,
that be on the receiving end then? Of the contract? You should be dating that when you sign it, no?
Depends.
Oh.
So the contract, so this is either the date, and correct me if I'm wrong, this is either the date that your version of the contract needs to be sent out or the deadline in which the contract needs to be executed.
So that's customizable to your client to kind
Um,
of say that this date is for the deadline, or if one has start and end dates, then it would be there. If the contract doesn't need them, then those fields won't appear because they're not necessary. So if you do not need to complete some of those fields, it's not
Okay.
sensitive, but it's just kind of showing the functionality of all of the fields. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pinged on somewhere too, real quick. What are you thinking?
So I don't recall selecting this particular document, right?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't you have selected it when you dropped the binders?
No. Unless it's this is just
Oh, it's a you selected a service. So let's go back out. Let's back and then we can redo the functionality. So yes, we want to go back and we could have saved it, but it doesn't matter. Let's go back. Huh. Interesting. Okay, when
Again?
back, it's not
What's it
letting us go. Hit the back button and hit yes, and let's see if it lets it save it. Okay, so let's save it.
you cannot not save it.
We cannot not save it. Okay. Thank you for noticing the not is our. Hey, sometimes you love a double negative, but not
Yeah.
necessarily.
Attorneys love double negatives.
Well, not in that instance, though. All right. So then let's go back into a contract again.
Okay, where we were?
However you want to get there. So there's a couple ways to do a contract from the homepage.
Dashboard.
Those are your tasks. Wait, go back to dashboard. I'm sorry. That's kind of frustrating.
I gotta save it. I'm sorry, Amanda. You're gonna have
New
extra
contract.
files. Boom. Good eye.
You know, that's my job.
Company client.
And for the new contract, did you already pick an NDA?
Yeah, so you pick a new contract, it's a template, and you click and it'll go to NDA.
I didn't see you select the NDA.
I forgot what the other two are.
An SLA, and I forget, and yeah, service level agreement, and I forget what the other one is.
Now you're really quiet.
No, don't be quiet. Come on.
Name your contract.
Huh?
Contract? Name your contract.
Test.
So I'm confused about the start and end date, but I guess that's more of a you thing than it is a me thing, huh?
I think the start and end date is meant to be, this is how long you have to complete this task.
Oh, okay. It's like assigning your own deadline?
Yeah, because this should populate into the task field, right?
Mm-hmm. Hopefully for negotiations, that it kind of helps you know which contracts are still pending and putting a 6-month process on it or a 3-month, different things like that. Aside from the validity period within the contract is how I interpret it, but it's up to interpretation as well.
What's with the star? There's a star that says keyword 3. Is that just like it's necessary? Is it just a nice picture?
I don't know exactly why that's there. That's something that I need to look into with the development, why there's one star there, but not a star on keyword 4.
Yeah.
Well, there is. It's just
No, that's an
by the
asterisk.
keyword 4.
Yeah, that's an asterisk. That's,
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, it's a required.
But it kind of looks like a skinny star.
Yeah.
Oh, this is required?
I mean, that's what I'm
Not
assuming.
required.
If something's asterisk, generally asterisk means to me that I have to fill it out.
We're generating right now. Why did it kick me out?
That's a good question. All right, let's do one more contract and
Wait, did that create?
let's see.
Wait, look to see if you can figure it out on your own if it created. Sorry.
No, thank you.
Nope.
Go to documents. Click documents. Yeah, it doesn't look like you created it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I know that the last time we were discussing this with Amanda and Matthew, there was some clarification that was needed for the like my inbox, new folders, and NDAs.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming my inbox is like the equivalent of like things that we are receiving from like the outside world. So in theory, like a client or a client to be.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay.
And negotiations coming in and out, kind of alerts is how I'd look at. Well, but it's not necessarily alerts, but my inbox is what's coming in, and then documents are your drive section, and there's always new folders and NDAs. But yeah, it did not. Okay. Let's see. No, we don't see test. Okay. So I have to see how it's saved on the database, and so that we can see how it's saving the contracts to kind of help you so that we can keep moving along on functionality on this. And feel free to kind of give any more input or any more feedback, you guys.
Well, for this, my inbox.
Do me a favor real quick and go to documents and then go to the search bar top section and type in test. Okay, that's all I wanted to check. All right.
So I don't know if it's searched and nothing's pulled up or if it failed to search.
Oh, there's like no thought bubbles.
Yeah, because I'm not getting any like
It froze.
pending action type of thing.
Got it.
That make sense?
Yep.
It's 21 hours.
The hell? Did I do that?
I don't think that was us.
How do you refresh this?
It's refreshed.
Now it's refreshed. Wait a minute.
What is the keyword repository for? I can't read it from this far. The keywords, the receiver, it says cloud. Yeah.
That's a different section. Come to that later.
I'm sorry. I just like to go through the like selections.
You know what it could be is that the documents that are showing up, it doesn't show the name of the document here.
Oh,
Does that
it's
make
under
sense?
the binders.
Yeah. Okay.
So it was what, AT&T North America? And it should have been here, right?
Yeah, but it's not showing a change of it on the dates on the creation or when it's been edited. There's no transparency. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
I mean, I guess that wouldn't be too bad of an issue to have it like this, but
Here's the thing I don't like about the way this looks though. So you have the client, you have the binder, but then you also have the start and end date, but multiple documents in there that can have multiple different start and end dates.
yeah.
And so if you're using this as a way to like control your docket to some degree, that can become more problematic. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I get you. So like, there's almost no reason to have
rather
a
see
certain end date.
You'd rather see the title of the documents in it than to see start
Yeah.
date.
Well,
Or a date
well, I do think
less edited.
you'll need this stage right here, right, where this information is, because you're going to need to access the particular folder to access the document, right?
Mhm.
But Dominique makes a good point. I don't know what the purpose of the start and end date are for a client file in a particular binder,
That has 5 documents.
unless the binder itself is something that's due,
Mm.
you know? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think we're actually at a good point though, because a lot of this is the back end, which hasn't been developed.
Ooh.
So we found the broken part.
We found the broken part. We have won. I wish we need to send a trick or treat. I will gladly. But I think we are actually at a really good point, and we have the UI and the front end working. So now we need to tie the back end and kind of take any feedback and notes from you guys as well. So if there's any kind of final words or anything you would like us to say or like to give us input, we greatly appreciate it.
So the formatting looks much improved. The homepage I like a lot. Do you like this tasks thing here?
I wonder if you can move it around like widgets.
I want that too. Yes.
Yeah, I think the only thing I would add to this taskbar is maybe be for what it's for. Because if it's for a particular document instead of the binder, what if this binder has 30 documents in it? You know, what are you going to review the comments on? You know.
A little more of a highlight bubble to better understand. Okay.
Yeah, but that could also just fall under the status thing. It could be review comments for doc 1, 2, 3, 4.
Got it. Okay.
Well, that would be nice.
Yeah, that would be really nice. I would love that.
If
for
we
work.
had that in our system, yeah.
The recent workspace activity, is this people who are signing on?
Yeah.
It's people who are looking at the documents, I think, that you have like allowed them to view or change. And any changes they're making within it, I think.
I want to go.
Dashboard. Yeah, see, so like this person signed the NDA.
Okay.
This person commented on it.
I'm assuming the clients would be filtered into this thing too, right?
I think it's if you allow them to make edits or view the documents.
And your address book and who you add in your address.
The binders I'm kind of viewing as client files.
Okay.
Is that accurate?
Would you call them something different? I want to call it something different. I want to see if you would call it the same something. I can't say because then I'm giving you a bias of what I think.
I honestly would just say like client files or client name.
I kind of want to call them folders.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that okay, even with attorneys, to call it a folder instead of a binder?
Honestly,
I don't think of anything as binders. So
anything electronic we call folders.
Yeah.
The binders kind of, to me, represent
like
a
original
thick binder that I'm using to go to trial.
Okay. Thank you. So a folder would make you feel a little more comfortable with it as a software kind of thing. And a binder makes you think physical.
I mean, that's what I think when I think binders, but
no, I kind of think the same thing. I think if it's a binder, it's something that's tangible.
Yeah, but it's also kind of like, hey, it's on electronic format as binders. Was a binder, but something that stores documents. Oh, it's a folder.
True.
Got it.
I mean, I don't think it's so confusing that people wouldn't know what it is,
Yeah,
but it's a preference.
yeah. Does that make sense?
And it's ease of use. So do you guys see from the prototype we're moving more to ease of use and need to add functionality to it? I am noting on the contract the start and end date and kind of that we want to know the transparency of edits. So status is review comments on documents XYZ. Last edit date or revision date would be much more helpful than maybe a start end date is kind of something that we were hinting at. Is there anything else that kind of you guys,
Are you talking about for the binders right now?
yeah, that you see that you want, but you don't know like how to express it, but like that information on a dashboard would be so much more helpful than what we are displaying?
So if I were to click on this, based on the information that's on this dashboard, did that take me to that file?
No, it took us somewhere else. It took us to your client instead of that file. So we'll have to rework that one a little bit.
Yeah. Wait, hold on. Where was I? Okay, so in this binder, let's say if I click like right here, anywhere along this bar, and I'm assuming each binder has a certain set of documents that need to be completed, right? And that's where we're seeing this 50% completion.
Mm.
So if I were to click this, I would want it to go to that binder and then show a list of documents that need to be done and where they're at completion wise and what's the pending action for it.
Hey,
Finley, use fast. You know what I mean?
Well, I think when you click client, it just sends you to all of your clients. It's not as helpful as going individually to that folder and seeing kind of the call to actions and the status within that binder. I see what you're saying right there.
Yeah. Yeah, so if I click this.
There it has it, yeah.
Okay. So this kind of looks like it, right?
Mhm.
Assuming this is for that client. Yeah, okay, hold on. Okay, so for this binder thing, if I click insurance 2019, pulls up insurance 2019 binder and all this stuff, but it doesn't have the name of the client in which you're operating right now.
Very valid point. Very valid. Thank
That's a
you.
great point.
Great point.
So the one thing I would like to see here, only because you kind of have it up front here, is completion status. And kind of see that same structure mirrored in here. Now that could be under this category, but how are you going to measure 50% completion and none of the documents have been assigned?
Functionality needs to, yeah, very, very valid. And that's kind of us needing to show the transparency of functionality working. So yeah, the kit's working, the front end is working, but the front end doesn't make logical sense for us right now on user testing. Thank you for validating, for showing us that. Okay. Anything else?
Anything?
I love picky attorneys as my user test. So go for it.
Okay. Okay, this, from when we last looked at it with Amanda, looks a lot better.
Thank you. Thank you guys. They put a lot of work in. They have gone.
Oh, you guys have done a great job.
Yeah.
It's a team. It's a team. I'm just lucky to be with the team I'm with. So yeah, I give kudos to them too.
What's the difference between the open and the in progress? Like,
Yeah.
to me, if it's open, it's in progress.
I think.
Yeah.
how I think it's defined by who and how you send it out, but that's something that needs to be clear defined, but maybe that is together, that open and progress is together.
So open.
Yeah.
If you don't mind me giving some input here,
Yeah.
am I allowed to?
Yeah, well, of course, yes.
So open means that so when you created a contract but then you saved it but didn't send it anywhere, that would be considered open. But it's sitting in a saved version, but it hasn't been sent to anybody. So let's say, Casey, you open a document, but then you realize you need approval for the validity period, or you need to know if it's signed by two or three people, and you have to save it instead of sending it out. It would sit in open. So it's just sitting in a draft stage. In progress means that it's been sent to somebody, and you're waiting comments, right? Or it's come back to you. And then waiting would be where it's been triggered by a time clock that we've been waiting more than 48 hours for it to be signed or commented on. So it goes to like that stage. And then if it's been more than 5 business days, then it's sitting installed. So it's like a time clock thing. But
instead of labeling it as open, I'd label it as drafted.
Drafted drafts. Just like drafts.
I'm kind of open
to open.
I'm kind of open to open.
For me, if it's a draft, it's a draft. But I can see that as like a first-time user getting really, really confused. I mean, once you explain it to me, I think it would make sense. And the more I use it, obviously, the more intuitive I would become with it. But
yeah, and I guess the thing to keep in mind is there will always be a learning curve to using a new platform.
Anything, yeah.
Because even a draft, like someone might think it's drafted if it's been sent to somebody to review. That's also very true. That could be considered a draft as well. So that would sit in progress. So you don't. That's definitely a very good point, because I didn't even consider that a open versus draft. I didn't consider that. But just thinking about it in conversation now, it could be that could be also another additional confusion. Either way, right? So
yeah. It might
be bad.
Amanda, it might be helpful. We have this thing in some of our systems where they're funny enough, there's like a little asterisk and you can just wave your mouse over it and like a little explanation thing will pop up.
Yeah. Yes, that's definitely on our version 2. I've already thought about that, because it's like, then it's a self-learning platform. And that is something that we have to build into our version 2, just like how you talked about customizing the widgets on the dashboard. That's a version 2 as well. We've already considered those things, and I definitely want them now, but it's too early right now to put those in.
That's okay. Perfect.
So this is Michael Keaton. No way.
Kevin Spacey too.
Michael Keaton was the best Batman.
Oh my god, dude, focus.
Okay, so the one thing I personally would like is when I click it like this.
Yeah. To open
I want it to pop up.
No, yeah, definitely. Those are all things that will have, like, we spend a lot of time trying to make this as good as possible for testing. So those are things that we've already noted that will be fixed over the coming weeks for sure.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. This looks good though. I really like this.
Good.
Why?
It's clear what exactly the clause is, and it kind of gives it to you in, I don't know how to describe it.
It's almost like
you can like
it looks clean.
Like it. Yeah, it looks clean. Perfect. Okay.
The one thing I would recommend, and that's only because I notice I'm going blind, is the ability to expand this.
Okay.
Oh,
okay.
Good point.
Nice. Well, duly noted.
Attorneys are blind people.
is that the workflow?
Workflow. Are these name of documents?
Well, click them to find out. Check out that. Yeah. View.
So the workflow. Maybe Amanda can kind of explain what the workflow is.
Sorry, am I allowed to explain what it is?
Maybe not.
I think I remember what it is. You draft the document, you review the document, and if it's approved, you send it off to the archive approved document. Archive approved document. Send it to the author. Huh?
What is its purpose?
If you draft it, aren't you the author?
Not necessarily. I draft things for my attorneys all the time.
Yeah.
What is the purpose of this?
Am I allowed to answer?
Can answer.
Yes.
Can answer. We're at the
Okay,
end.
so, pardon?
Yes, you can.
Okay, so the workflow is, so like, let's say for NDAs in this specific workspace, which is just, derivatives or something specific, there is a specific workflow for each different document. So this workflow, you clicked on NDA 1, this is the workflow for an NDA in this workspace. So then if it's an MSA, so let's say for an NDA, it's simple. It goes, they may not change actually just in this viewing, but you can just check. I don't know. No, it's the same. So assume that they will be different in the real environment, but each document, it allows the user to create different ways, different processes for each document. So let's say an NDA only needs to be signed by one person with the client. That workflow will only trigger to one person to sign. Whereas if it's an MSA and it needs to be signed by a director and an EVP and whatever, then that workflow will have it signed by 3 people and it will trigger through that. It will trigger through different workflows. So the workflows are just assigned to different documents related to the specific business. It depends on the client, really, how they do their documents and whatnot. Is that a good explanation?
Yeah, that's good.
So there definitely wouldn't be like 10 of them like that, right? That's just obviously building the front end of it. There may be up to 5 for a company. You obviously depend. The idea is that this will be simple contracting. It wouldn't be complex until a later stage, and it should be pretty straightforward for most documents, for most contracts at this level.
Okay.
What if you click up on the top here on these little tabby things? Oh, the archive contracts. Okay, that's cool. That's very nice, very intuitive, very clear.
Are these completed?
These
Binders and all that?
The archive.
It's just the archive, so it's just the front end. So what do you mean by completed?
Well, when we close out a case, we usually archive it.
Okay. Yep. Okay, then yes. Completed, closed, archived, yes. I believe so. But Amanda can confirm.
Yes, so this would be, let's say 2019 comes to an end. The end date of that, the end date of that binder would be December 31st, 2019. It would, if you've set auto archiving to that binder, then it would obviously automatically archive. But if not, if you're in documents and you want to archive anything, it would then appear here from that view. So
Okay.
It wouldn't be visible in your active documents folder.
Okay. Okay.
So the same with archived or clauses. Let's say there's a template that we don't want to use anymore and we want to update, we want to add a new template. You would archive it so it can't be used anymore. And it would be here, so you could actually, reference it or go back to it. Let's say that there are still active documents using that template, then you would be able to reference that as well. So same with clauses, it's the same for all of them. And once they're archived, they can no longer be used. So you'd have to recreate it.
Okay, so once something's archived, it cannot be used.
Yeah, so let's say I archived a keyword. Let's say it was company name, and I changed it to company name instead of client name or whatever. You wouldn't be able to come back here and say, I want to use it again. Like, you can't unarchive. Just for versioning and such. Am I allowed to give that much information, Rachel? I don't know.
Too much. That now we're moving in a little too deep, and
sorry.
We're okay, because that's something that we should do a test on, of like the finishing and retrieving documents once the back end's there. I think that's something we test the back end.
Sure.
But,
so I got one thing on that. So for this, it's abandonment archived clause, right? Kevin Spacey wrote it.
Yep.
So there's no way to view this archive clause?
You should be able to. You should be able to view everything in the archive.
Should be able to, but the functionality, we need to address the functionality on that on the back end. It's like a pop-up to see what that clause was, to kind of copy paste and create another. Is that
Yeah, or at least some way to look at it, see, compare.
Yeah.
You know, like if you click on it and it pulls up the archive clause, right?
Yeah.
And then there's some link that you click and it goes compare. So it'll compare the previous clause to the new clause.
Okay. Yeah. Oh no, I understand the rationale. That's something that we need to make sure we have on this, so that we have the feedback for it.
Yeah.
So you definitely would be able to view them. You wouldn't be able to edit.
Yeah. Not edit the archive clause, but be able to view it, maybe compare to see where the current clause is.
Mhm.
To see like what's changed.
Yeah, because like, let's say you have a client, right, and you drafted a contract in 2017, right, and you'd be like, oh, hey, we have this new clause, and I'm looking at your old contract, and I compare this, like, and looking at the clause, like, oh, this new one's better because it offers this, right? Like, there's a way to expedite the analysis, if that makes. Because people don't want to pay an attorney to sit there and read a clause from way back when, and then read the current clause, and then look and compare notes to see how it is. Like if you have all the data right here,
Yeah.
like any difference would be like highlighted and kind of like show exactly where the
Almost
clause
like
has
track changes.
progressed. Yeah, it's almost like track changes.
Okay.
If that makes sense. I don't know if that's too big of an ask, but I personally would love that.
Okay. That's something.
But I think they're talking about like how it visually works.
Yeah, I know. But like this, say this clause is archived because it's outdated, right? And then you have a client who doesn't have a contract with you for, an extended period of time.
Yeah, client from like the 90s.
Yeah, and you want to know what he's talking about. So you click on whatever clause that is in question and kind of see where it's at now. You'd be like, all right, these are
the changes that have
this
occurred.
was your previous clause. This is the changes that have occurred, and this is why it's necessary.
No, that's helpful. That's something that we need to consider, especially on the clauses, that we show the iterations and changes. Almost, yeah. That's something for us to consider. I want to do a separate test on archives when we have actually archived something on the back end to test the functionality on that. So if I can schedule that with you another time too. And then if I have any questions for you guys, I'm just going to email you or ask a couple quick questions. But I really appreciate you guys taking the time and providing feedback. If you want to give any other last statements, jokes, dog barks, I'm in.
Well, I definitely like the way it's progressed. It's actually kind of really impressive how much you guys have done.
Thank you. We'll share that with the team.
And I enjoy using this interface a lot more than the other one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. A fan of progress.
Okay. On ease of use, on a 1 out of 5, where would you put it?
Oh.
Probably a 3.
Okay.
I think some of the problems are very easily fixable.
Yeah. Which
and
is,
I think you guys are working on them currently.
Which is good, right? And then, like, I guess some of the stuff that we discussed would probably make it a 4.
Okay. So then some of the problems are
always room for
that we talked about, and just to summarize and wrap up as well. One of them was on the My Task sections, the statuses, to be a little clearer on what documents it was pertaining to, much more of a really detailed status. Moving down into the binders, for that section to click and give you a status of the binder, that the client section pushing you just to the client list is not beneficial to us. It kind of loses us on those pages we had. And then on the clause repository, to see the iterations within the clauses as well and the edits that are made on each of those, because that moves into archiving as well. It's there, but to see kind of the reiterations that happen on the archive side or somewhere in there, right?
Yeah. Well, I think the reiterations would have been through the archives. So if
Okay.
you go to the archives and go to the clauses, then you click on it, and then there's some link to where like it pops up just like the clause repository.
Mm-hmm.
But then here you have the ability to compare it to the current clause. In the clause repository, I don't think that's really necessary because it's just something current. You just pop it in, right?
Yeah.
But I think for this one, this little pop up,
Mm-hmm.
only because I know I'm blind and I know there's others out there.
Bigger.
There's
Bigger.
just the ability to blow it up.
Got it. I like how you speak. Is there anything else that we're kind of on those tipping points that we need to make sure to hit so that we get it to that 4 instead of a 3 that I didn't synthesize with you guys? The workflows we'll get to. I'm not too worried about the workflows right this second.
Got anything, babe?
No. My clients, workspace users. Click on my clients. Ooh, I like that.
Yeah. I think this is what we discussed last time. Right? Because when we clicked on the address book, it didn't have any drop downs.
I know that from my experience, at least with my clients, we have a contact person. So that would have been nice if there were like, because you have a company name, the website, the contact number, location, and status. So for me personally, in my experience, it'd be nice to have like a contact person and then that contact number be in relation to them as opposed to getting like a receptionist.
Okay.
Yeah, like someone handling it on their side.
Yeah, because in theory, you're dealing with other, I don't know, I guess for me, I'm dealing with other paralegals and attorneys in-house. And I guess in the reverse, they would be dealing with us.
Yeah, and if any attorney needs to cover for another, they're out sick, whatever reason, it'd be good to know that, like, who's the contact person with the company you're negotiating with.
Yeah.
That is helpful. That is very helpful for time and efficiency for you guys. Okay. Is there any other closing statements you'd like to give? And I thank you guys for your full hour and
I'm fine.
feedback. Yeah.
No, I don't think there's anything more we have. Yeah, it's definitely improved a lot.
You guys rock.
And I'm pretty sure I could use this now and it'd be functional if all the little things worked.
Yeah.
And I can kind of get around it. There would be some features I would like implemented, but yeah.
But you
What you discussed?
But this has you enticed to want to use and work.
Yeah. Yeah, this kind of reminds me of a little more
Like what I have.
compartmentalized Box.
Okay.
Have you guys used Box?
Oh, I hate that thing.
Yeah, because it's not compartmentalized.
You talking about Dropbox? Ugh.
No, not Dropbox. It's a different thing.
I have used Box and Dropbox, but I see what you're getting at with it. So thank you.
Yeah.
Guys. Well, you guys
Yeah.
are awesome. Amanda and I are on Eastern and Central time, so we will bug you guys soon again, and we really, really value.
Sorry, Rachel, can you speak up a little bit?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. We are really just appreciative of you guys giving your time. We're both on Eastern and Central, and really value all
wow.
your insights. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and say
Crash
thank
out.
you guys so much and crash out. Yeah.
Yeah. You're very welcome, and we're more than happy to help.
Thank you guys. Okay. If I have any questions, I'll reach out and I'm going to kind of look over this video, synthesize it, and make sure Matt and developers see the kudos and the good with the positive and the little bit of critique back. But thank you guys for a positive video. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Good night. Good night, Amanda.
Thanks, Casey. Thanks, Dom.
Thank you again.